Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday, November 21st, 2021, and I just completed a short walk on the Norbath Trail. It's not necessarily the nicest day. It's 52 degrees, but with the clouds, it's a little bit raw. And what you see ahead is this is the trail crossing the road. This is the trail itself off to the right. That's where I did my walking. And off to the left, you see one of my favorite things in the universe, a train. And I like coming to walk out here. The railroad you're seeing off to the left, it's funny, I didn't even know this railroad existed until a couple months ago. It's called the N.D.C, which stands for Northampton Development Corporation. And it's a short line. It's a little over a mile long. It's mostly a freight yard. Which then leads into some industries, which I can't show you because there are no trespassing behind a gate. They would be behind me at this point. And it's a little over a 1 mile short line, and it's actually what remains of the Norbath Railroad. The old Norbath, which is Northampton to Bath rail line, was turned into a recreational trail, which I enjoy very much, by the way. There's a lot of trails in this area, and most of them are former railroads. The N.D.C was the remnants of the Norbath Railroad, which was bought out by Horwith Trucking. They're one of the major truck companies in this area. And basically, from what I understand of the railroad, I don't know a whole lot about it. It's basically just a yard that they use to shuffle the cars between the local industries and the Norfolk Southern Main line, which will... Well, I thought we were going to cross over part of it in a second, but we got traffic now, so I got to wait to make my left turn here. I am on my way to Target, by the way, and this just seemed a convenient time to make an update video that's going to be filled with a lot of seemingly random things, but I haven't done one in a while, so we're going to do that. Turning onto Main Street in Northampton here, off to my left is the Norbath Trail. We're crossing the trail, and the railroad line in the road here that we're crossing, off to the left is the N.D.C, off to the right is the Norfolk Southern. I'm not sure who exactly owns the road crossing, but the main line for Norfolk Southern is literally just behind these houses here off to my right. So, and then to the right of that is the Lehigh River. And that line used to be the CNJ, the Central New Jersey rail line that runs up and down the Lehigh River on the east bank. The west bank was the Lehigh Valley Railroad. And somewhere in here was also the LNE, the Lehigh New England Railroad. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about railroad history in this area, so I'm still piecing it together. We'll get back to that at some point, I'm sure. This road here, and again, I could be a little wrong on the routing, but I just found out, thank you to YouTube, that there was actually a streetcar system that ran into Northampton all the way up to the Roxy Theater, which is behind me at this point to the north. I'm heading south. Somewhere the streetcars crossed over the river into Copley, but I think they continued to run through here into Catasaqua for a bit. Again, I can't swear this was the actual route, but it is the main road through here. And so I didn't even know that existed, that there had been a trolley car system in my town. It was a very interesting thing to discover, and actually very interesting now that I'm looking at the kind of the tar stripes on the road here. They almost look like the width of a rail line. I wonder if that could be where they patched over. I don't know. Off to my right here, that's Northampton Lanes. Actually, that's my first look at it. I know you can't see it on the camera, but that's my first look at it since winter. It had, unfortunately, the roof over the bowling lanes collapsed in one of our winter storms, collapsed under the weight of the snow, which was really sad. It's a nice bowling alley. And they did, despite all the difficulties in the world, they were able to rebuild. That's my first look at the new building. I know you couldn't see it, so I'm probably boring you with it. But thankfully, nobody got hurt. They were able to rebuild. Excuse me. I know they reopened the bar restaurant there. I'm not sure if the bowling lanes themselves have reopened yet, because that was the side that kind of got done in. The bar area had been a newer addition, and from what I understand, that got through it fairly unscathed. This is interesting here, what they're doing. You can tell I don't get out much these days. That's really interesting that they're putting a guardrail alongside the sidewalk. This is an area that overall, I mean, we have a lot of trails and such, but if you want to use biking or walking for actual transportation, unless you live like in the heart of town here, well, closer to the stores, I guess. We're kind of away from the stores, the few that there are. It's not really an area that people walk and bike for transportation, but I am starting to see signs that they're doing things to improve that. I'm kind of actually, this is going to sound weird, I have no idea where I'm going. I mean, I do and I don't. This isn't my usual route to Target. I just wanted to drive across the rail line. This is Catasaqua. I don't get down here much. Alright, so enough about that. There are a couple quick things that I just wanted to fit in. I don't want this to be a crazy long video. I know I say I'm going to keep all my driving videos short and then I ramble on forever, but just did want to give a quick update, just about the channel and just about what I'm doing in general, because, you know, here we are changing the seasons, and I've also had to make some, I'm not going to say big decisions, but adjustments to things I'm doing in my life. I'm not going to say radical changes, but it's November, mid-November, so it is now just past 7 months since I left my corporate job to work for myself full-time. I have not missed that corporate job for 1 second. I have zero regrets about leaving it. Quite frankly, the way things were going, I think I probably would have been laid off by now anyway. So getting out of there was a chance to take on some other opportunities that, had I stayed, I wouldn't have had time to pursue. So I'm not going to get too into that, but long and short of it is, in some ways, the honeymoon with self-employment's over. In one regard, I've done extremely well with it. In another regard, it's kind of been a colossal failure. And all I'm going to say about that is I've been a lot more diligent and enthusiastic about doing the work than my clients have been in paying me for the work. And so that's an ongoing battle, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But, and here, squirrel moment. I know I get sidetracked all the time. I'm seeing more tar snakes in the road that kind of look the width of railroad lines. Maybe I'm seeing things where they aren't now, but I really would like to trace out where that trolley car went, because it has me very curious. So the bottom line is I'm going to stay self-employed. It hasn't really so far brought me the joy and fulfillment and freedom that I thought it would, but I think a lot of that is being clouded by the fact that even though the world is, quote, open again, there's still so many restrictions, so many businesses with limited hours, so many issues with the supply chain that, I don't know, I think in my head, just kind of still feel like I'm half on lockdown, even though I know we're technically not, and that might be a personal issue, but I think just my difficulties dealing with the pandemic in general still, and all the uncertainty in the world, and the fact that things really aren't getting better, I think that's kind of cast a cloud over the early phase of my self-employment journey. So I don't want to say that I'm not going to be happy doing it, because I am certainly happier than I ever was in the corporate world, but it's kind of one of those cases where reality doesn't match expectations. So what I'm faced with, I'm not going to go into details here because I'll bore you, is I'm going to completely overhaul what it is I'm doing for self-employment. I am going to move towards more of a content creation business model versus trying to trade my time for money on a one-to-one client basis. I will still take client work if it's offered. I'm going to be a lot tougher on my payment terms, but I'm not going to be aggressively seeking it. I have so many ideas for things I can create and sell, and hopefully over the long run it's going to be some work up front, but over the long run, hopefully that's going to actually do better for me. And I'm kind of stalling out here, guys, because I'm also sort of looking at where I'm going here. This isn't one of my usual routes. We're still in Catasaqua. Let's just say one of those ventures will involve a new YouTube channel that hopefully I can fast track to monetization. That's going to be part of the business plan, certainly not the entirety of it. I know enough YouTubers to know that, you know, your odds of getting rich off YouTube are pretty slim, and even if you do, that's still a long climb. But I do believe it can be one component of my business, and I'll talk about that when the time comes. It probably will not interest most viewers of this channel, but you know, if it does, come on over. And here's where I don't know which way to go. You know, I hate the road I want is one block ahead, but this is a one-way street. This is where I'm kind of not a city person, or I should say I'm very much not a city person. These one-way streets just make me freaking crazy. I don't come down here often enough to remember what's what. And alright, so I think I got it figured out. Alright, so that's enough about the business. I'm staying self-employed. I'm just changing direction, and that's what you got to do. The other thing I'm changing direction with is, you know, you can see there's still some fall leaves, some colors, and it still looks pretty. I mean, a lot of them have fallen off, but winter is coming, and hopefully not with dragons and white walkers, but it does mean I'm going to be staying inside more. I mean, that's the reality of life in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm not a very hardy outdoors person, so, you know, I'm not the kind of person who's going to go out in an ice storm when it's 20 degrees just for the sake of being outside. I'm going to stay in, but there's good news there, because that's going to let me get back to my hobbies. And I've talked a lot over the last year about model railroading and 3D printing, and even that medieval village that I started building and didn't get very far with. And you know, it's actually in some ways good news that I didn't get very far with that, because it does mean I did get out of the house more on weekends. I mean, you've seen my videos all year. I took a lot of train rides. I did a lot of other things with other YouTubers. Those were definitely the highlights of the year, getting me out of the house. You know, when I get out of the house, I do feel pretty good about things. When I'm in the house, the walls do seem to be closing in, quite literally. So the fact that I didn't really do my hobbies this summer is a good thing. It means I got out. Part of why last winter I was so hell-bent on getting into them was I really thought that 2021 was going to be a repeat of 2020, where we weren't going to be allowed out at all. And that may be coming for the winter too. I don't know. The case counts are really spiking here, and I'm hearing rumors that I don't like, but I'm not going to get into that. Basically, Pennsylvania is not a free country anymore. That's all I can say. But that said, I had started these hobbies thinking, you know, it could be years, it could be the rest of my life that we're on lockdown, and thankfully 2021 was better than my worst fears, so I got out. But anyway, hobbies. Start out with the medieval village, because when I started that kind of around this time last year, I had, you know, at that point I wasn't even thinking about model railroading. So I started building this thing, and a lot of you have asked, believe it or not, those videos get a lot of views. I was surprised. A lot of you have asked, when am I going to get back to that? And I am. I have not abandoned that. I will be back to that this winter. The interesting thing, too, about that, even though I am building that as a standalone model, it happens to be close enough to N.D.C that I've come up with a way to integrate that into my train layout when it's done, although I'm going to build it completely as a standalone and keep that series and playlists, you know, its own thing. So you will see me get back to that. Now, what's going on with the model railroading? Well, I've talked in a few videos how I had a really nice plan to put it in the loft of my house. I do have a very small house. I've taken to calling my house a double-wide tiny home because, honestly, in terms of square footage, that's about what it is. I love the house, I love the property, and it was great when my lifestyle was working outside of the home and doing things on weekends and evenings. I was kind of mostly home to sleep and relax and sometimes study and do side work, but you know, the house felt a good size back then. Well, now that I'm home 24/7 or close to it, gosh, it's freaking small. And when you have hobbies like I do, size can be tough. So I came up with I think, very good idea on how to build a layout in my loft, including a wall to keep the cats out. And all I'm going to say for now is there's some logistical hurdles to building it. And I've also become aware of really how many different skills I need to learn before I can really do it justice. So that plan is on hold. And I'm driving slow, guys, because I'm coming up on Target and I'm not done running my mouth. And it's going to get boring to just sit in a parking lot and talk. But I'll try to get this to a conclusion. So, long story short, my home office was in a closet-sized room that was 5 foot by 9 foot to 45 square feet. And again, it was a great room for many years when I was in there, you know, for maybe an hour a day tops, a couple hours a week total, you know, just doing stuff on the computer, doing some studying. It was great. I loved it. It was the perfect room for that. This year, being in business for myself, it's been a lot of 12-hour days working, you know, a lot of weeks. Honestly, I've been working about 6 days a week and then getting out of the house for the 7th day. And I think a lot of my unhappiness, I realized, was stemming from just literally being stuffed into this tiny, tiny room. So I moved my home office. I moved it to what you would consider either the dining room or the eat-in kitchen. In all the years I lived in the house, I don't think I ever ate in there once because I've always been a eat in front of my computer while I watch YouTube kind of person. So I turned that into the home office, and I love it, and it is nicer to work in it, and I think that's going to work out great. And then the other thing that happened because I did that is this 45 square foot former home office. I'll tell you what, guys. You're not going to like looking at the parking lot here. I'm going to do my shopping, and I'm going to pick this up when I'm done shopping. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do with my former home office. So stay tuned, guys. This is so exciting. You're not going to want to miss it. And now for the thrilling conclusion. It's actually a surprising plot twist, which caught me off guard. So I was in Target, I don't know for how long, too long. I hate shopping. Here's the shocking plot twist. I got 100% of the things on my list. And that's really surprising because the supply chain issues have been hitting this area hard. I hear that the bigger metropolitan areas have been getting more shipments than we have, and we also, I think, have less stores per capita, so things tend to be pretty wiped out. Store was reasonably well stocked, although the quantities of each thing were low. The big thing I desperately needed was a space heater for my bedroom. And they only had 3 space heaters in the entire store. And they all happened to be kind of small ones, but that's okay. It's a small room. That's literally all I needed. But I had a number of other things that if I wasn't able to get here, I was just going to order online when I got home. But it's all household stuff. I kind of hate ordering that kind of thing online. I don't know why. But anyway, enough of that. Now I get to bore you some more on the drive home. So where did I leave off? I left off with repurposing my home office, that tiny little 5x9 room that is smaller than most people's closets. So because I'm not going to, for now, I'm not going to build the layout and model room in the loft, which would have also housed the 3D printers. I've decided that now this little home office is actually perfect for the 3D printers. And I finally, the other day, got the important piece in place, and that was installing a door to keep the cats out. I have 8 cats. A lot of you know that. For those of you who don't, I do, and they get into, you know, if you put something out, they will find a way to mess it up, and so it's going to be a little hard to run 3D printers with them around. Anyway, the door's installed, the room's cleaned out, and I made a big decision about it yesterday, which didn't involve the 3D printers. And I'll cover this in another video, but I was, you know, cleaning out the room, getting the door installed. I haven't set the printers up yet. But I looked over to the bookshelves on the wall because they had been, well, full of books I like to read, and I had a lot of business and programming books that now got moved to my new office. And hey, look at this bonus, guys. We're getting a plane. When was the last time I caught takeoff on a plane? It's been way too long. That is, I don't know what kind of plane that is. That's a big one. Probably one of the cargo jets. The airport was just off to my right. That's taking off to the west, heading over Catasaqua and Whitehall. Alright, bonus. Another diversion, right? Where was I? Alright, so yeah, I was looking at these bookshelves, and, you know, I mean, I'll need some shelving space to put supplies and whatnot for the 3D printers and the Cricut. I'm not sure if I even mentioned that, by the way. I did buy a Cricut cutting machine, so I now have a resin 3D printer, a filament 3D printer, and a Cricut cutting machine, and that's going to be the foundation of business number 2, which will also get its own website and YouTube channel, and I'll get to that again when the time's appropriate. Lots of things in the pipeline, guys. I am busy. People think I've got all this time when I'm home, and I am busier than I've ever been. But, and to get that equipment set up, I need a little bit of shelving to store supplies for it, but not much. And then the light bulb went off in my head that people build shelf layouts for their trains. And there's also a special kind of very small model train layout called a switching layout. And I've kind of always dismissed these before. Like, you know, I want something that the trains can just run endless loops through beautiful scenery and little towns that I build, and that's what I'm envisioning for upstairs. But I started researching these little shelf/switching layouts. Watched some YouTube videos and actually found out, boy, they're actually kind of a lot of fun. You know, people kind of make little puzzle games out of them where you have a switching session where you got to get Here's a little game here, pulling out into traffic without hitting something. Okay, that guy was turning. That's a terrible intersection there, by the way. It really needs a light. This is Catasaqua once again. Not my usual route, but I'm just feeling like seeing some different places today. Yeah, so these little switching sessions where you have to get different cars to different sidings and different industries and different orders, I'm like, that actually looks like fun. It's, more interactive than just setting the train to run and watching it. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I still want to do that upstairs eventually. It's just not going to happen soon. So I actually have already designed a little switching layout that I'm going to build in place of one of these shelves. And that'll be a subject for another video. I designed it over the last 2 days, and while I was walking today, there's one thing that was bugging me about it that wasn't quite right, and I came up with a solution, so I need to go back and tweak my design, but I'm actually going to start building this sooner rather than later. So this is going to be a this year project. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get the track that I need for it. I call this the everything shortage. It's just so hard to get the stuff you need. You'll go to the store and they'll have stuff. It's not necessarily the stuff you want. And we got an ice truck trying to get out here. I'm not going to try to get in his way. So I am going to be building a new layout. The nice thing, the way I'm going to set this room up, even though it's very small, I will have room for the equipment. I will have a desk space to work, so I will be able to bring that little medieval village down there. And what I'm going to do before I actually do any of that, those of you who know me closely know this. The rest of you probably have no clue what I've been doing half the summer. I have actually bought a crazy amount of N.scale trains this year. Some I found in my travels, some I ordered online, a couple people gave to me. And I've had that loop of track from the Cato starter set up in my garage, and I really wanted to make some videos showing you guys all the new N.scale stuff, and it's now getting too cold to be out there, so I am actually going to bring that loop of track indoors probably tomorrow, definitely early in the week. I'll have to shorten it up a little bit to fit on my current desk, but I'm just going to warn you now, maybe you're going to look forward to this, or maybe you're going to steer clear of my channel for the next couple weeks. I am going to be doing a lot of N.scale, just showing you, I guess you could call them reviews. Here's another little industry with a siding here. It's a former rail bridge off to my left, I guess. I don't know if there's an active line. No, there's actually still an active line across that. Sorry, another diversion. That's probably the Norfolk Southern line. I gotta look at the map. That's something I've been trying to learn more, is like, okay, I see these tracks, where do they go? I've been having fun with that this year. So yeah, I'm gonna be filming a lot of, we'll just call them N.scale reviews, showing you guys what I got. Some of the stuff's new, some of it's used. I'm also going to try to run a lot of my old trains. I suspect the ones I had when I was a kid are not going to run. They're probably going to need work. And I do believe that the ones I bought in the 90s should run. We'll find out. But I'm going to be hitting you guys up with a whole lot of N.scale videos. So I'll probably put those out. They'll be short, each one. They'll be short, and I'll probably put out 3 or 4 a week. And I'm navigating another fun 4-way intersection. Before that comes up, though, I did have one more big outing that I have to edit. That's actually probably what I'm going to be doing the rest of today after I have dinner, after I get home. I did have an outing with some other YouTubers. Was that last weekend or the one before? Gosh, time just blends together. I think that was just last weekend. There was an outdoor component of our adventure, and there was an indoor component. So those are going to be two separate videos. So in order, you'll see this one. You'll see, I think there's still one or two driving videos that I did from the day I went up to Pottsville to ride the Bud cars to Jim Thorpe. So you'll see this, you'll see the remnants of the Bud car adventure, you'll see the new adventure, you'll see the end scale stuff, and somewhere in there, I really hope before Christmas time, I am going to unveil to you guys my new 3D printing room. And I'm going to unveil my new layout plan, and hopefully I would like by the end of this year to have the shelf for it built, because I'm going to make its own foundation. It's also going to be portable, by the way. Even though it's going to live on a shelf in that room, I am actually going to design it that it's small. It's going to be about 1 foot by 5 feet. I'd like to be able to take it with me if I go to a train show or a friend's house. I'm going to unveil those plans. I'm going to unveil to you my 3D printing business, of which I made the logo last night. A couple of you have seen it. Oh, another diversion. They're not as done building the bowling alley as I thought they were. The back half of the building's not on yet. So I think it's probably just the restaurant that opened. I just happened to see that from that angle. Yeah, I made a logo for my business last night. I am really happy with it. It's funny, I had a whole bunch of different ideas I was going to try, and I threw the first one together, and honestly, I loved it so much. I'm like, you know what, forget the others. This is the one. The only reason I'm not showing it to you now is I haven't decided on colors. I need to decide on colors, and I will make that unveiling its own separate video. So, alright, we're back in Northampton now. I've rambled on long enough. It's starting to get dark. The rain is supposed to be coming. Winter is coming. Model trains are coming. New business plans are coming. Things are, I want to say they're looking good. They're looking hectic. But hopefully it's all going to come good. And I am going to keep this channel going steady through the winter. I'll probably still be doing the 2-3 videos a week. It's just most likely going to be indoor stuff instead of outdoor stuff chasing trains. So, anyway, Sunday evening, Thanksgiving's Thursday, and I'll just end this saying I am more thankful than words can say for the members of my YouTube community. The last 20 months with the pandemic and all the chaos in the world and all the big upheavals in my career, and even just changes to how I spend my leisure time. Let's face it, I used to spend my winters going to concerts and hockey games and movies, and that's just not on the agenda anymore, at least temporarily. YouTube has really stepped in to fill a huge part of my life. One, as a creator, I mean, that really has been my hobby, is making these videos, sharing them with you, responding to comments. I love when people leave comments on my videos. I feel like I've gotten to know, I have gotten to know so many of you very well, and, you know, there's a lot of you who have channels, and at some point I'll do a video later where I really need to do a better job of sharing channels with people that I watch and I'm friends with, but I really appreciate your friendship. I love the fact that we get together, we do things together, we watch each other's channels, even those of us who cannot get together in person. You are still a big part of my life, and honestly, emotionally, I don't know how I would have gotten through the last 20 months without my YouTube community. And I know that it's really hard to put it in words. I'm I'm good at words with some things and not with others, and sometimes it's hard to express really how grateful I feel for that kind of thing. But no, this Thanksgiving, even if we can't be together, you know, you guys are my family, and I am really grateful to have you in my life. And I hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and, you know, a happy holiday season ahead. And don't worry about me, guys. I'm going to be home playing with 3D printers and trains and websites and logos and all kind of fun things, and hopefully be earning a living while doing some of it. So I'll end it here. We're in Northampton, and we're coming to a red light, which is a good point to end the video. And I will say thank you for riding along, and thank you for being part of my community.